Three, two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today it is my turn as I bring to the table a film I subjected these other two nitwits that have come along with me to discuss this film. It is John Johnson's independent remake of an independent film by Edward Wood Jr., which is called Plan 9, and it was filmed in 2015 in John Johnson's favorite town of Nilbog, which actually is an anonym for, if you spell it backwards, it means goblin or says goblin. And Nilbog was also the fictional town in Trolls 2. And I do believe that John Johnson, when I've talked to him personally, he has said that Nilbog or Trolls 2 was like one of his favorite films. So most of his films, I think, end up in the town of Nilbog, and he actually got permission from the director of the film to use it in his films in his independent film career. So, that being said, let's see what IMDb says about the film. Basically says Plan 9 is a remake of the 1959 science fiction horror movie Plan 9 from Outer Space with Eric Lobo as Criswell. Now, Eric Lobo, which I was just looking up, evidently, he's a well-known horror host called Mr. Lobo. And I guess he hosts Cinema Insomnia, but he's also been part of like several horror documentaries and has made appearances all over the world, apparently. So him being Criswell, which in the original film, Criswell was just the narrator at the beginning and the end. This time, John Johnson involved him throughout the entire film. So, that being said, let's go. Well, I do want to say there are some other names of note. Brian Krause was in there. Conrad Brooks, which he was one of Edward Wood Jr.'s original actors. Now, unfortunately, Conrad Brooks is deceased now, but he was able to make an appearance in this movie. So that's at least a plus. Another person here that I wanted to mention is James Rolfe. He played one of the policemen that ended up going over to the military and saying, "Hey, you over here!" You know, when they went to the bridge. Well, that was James Rolfe. He is known as the angry video game nerd. If you know anyone about anyone that has anything to do with video game reviews, he's one of the ones that you would normally hear about as a YouTube sensation. So, but that being said, heading over to do first impressions. Let's start with you, Tammy. What was your first impressions of this movie?
Weird.
Well, wasn't the first one weird?
I guess.
Well, and the first...
I like the first one better than I like this one. I don't know. I think the people overacted a lot. I thought it was obviously independent. or the other one just seemed more like an old movie, the original.
And yet that one was totally independent too.
Well, I know it was totally independent. So was Night of the Living Dead, and that was a good movie. But anyways, yes, I thought there was a lot of overacting. I thought there was a lot of stupidity. Um, it seemed like it was more of a zombie movie than anything else. And I'm not really into zombie movies. So, but I guess it was all right. You know, not one of my favorites.
Okay. Heading over to you, Boris. Was this a first time watch for you? Oh, was this a first time watch for you, Tim?
Yes.
Uh, Actually, no, because we watched it before, but you probably don't remember it. But heading over to you, Boris. First time watch?
Yes, it was the first time, and apparently unpopular opinion since I've just looked up people's reviews on IMDb, and apparently many people hated this movie. So unpopular opinion, but I didn't hate it. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. One issue I maybe had with it is that at the beginning it throws a lot of characters at us all at once, so I had a little bit of a hard time catching up on who is who, what is whose story, who is doing what, blah blah. So that's probably the only issue I had with it. Otherwise, yes, it's an independent movie, but and obviously one, but when it comes to independent movies, I'm usually not very judgmental. I have seen way worse independent movies than this one, so this one is much better than they sometimes get. Uh, I actually had quite a bit of fun with it. Maybe maybe even more than with the original. The original was more serious and there was more talk and less action. This one is more goofy. There is more humor and also more action. So in those terms, maybe I even prefer this one over the original. No hard feelings to anyone who disagrees. There were some parts I found really morbidly hilarious, but we will get to those. One thing I also find interesting is since the movie was supposedly intended to portray the aliens as the bad guys, which the first movie tried to do, but for today's standards, it doesn't really work that way. It more makes you feel sorry for the aliens, as we discussed while we were discussing the original. So here they made the aliens seem more villainous, which is if their intention was to portray the aliens as villains, then in those terms, this movie probably also does it better than the original. So, yeah, overall, I had quite a bit of fun with this movie, and I'm glad I saw it.
I guess this film also had a couple of other internet personalities. I guess Aaron Yanda, who is an American comedian, writer, actor, and director. He's a YouTube from Menominee, Wisconsin. Um, he also appeared in this film. Matt Sloan, I guess he's a YouTuber from Madison, Wisconsin. And I guess him and Aaron were the creators of a web series called Chad Fader, Day Shift Manager. And I guess It's kind of like a Star Wars type thing on YouTube that they did. So they both showed up in this. Um, I had been starting to collect the John Johnson movies from Darkstone Entertainment, which is his production company. And he's mostly known for the Skeleton Key series, which I do believe the Skeleton Key series was set in the town of Nilbog as well. Not sure if his other
Cool.
movies are, but his Skeleton Key series is. They're independent films that I know Brandon from the other group. He loves John Johnson's films, and he also likes James Rolfe as a YouTuber. So I'm pretty sure he's a fan of this movie. But I remember seeing that this had come out. When it came to DVD, I eventually picked it up, and I actually liked it. I like both. I think that Plan 9 is a classic film more because of Ed Wood Jr. being an infamous person of being a guerrilla filmmaker, at least the kind that would steal onto sets after dark without permission and film some scenes from movies and steal stock footage from film lots just to complete his pictures eventually.
Wow.
He was one of the first to kind of do that, make his films in some less than legal ways.
Interesting.
So I guess that's partially why I like the Ed Wood Jr. Films. And a lot of independent filmmakers always seem to look up to Ed Wood Jr. as a director that they admire because of that. But that being said, I do think that the zombies were. See, the original idea was that you know they used an electromagnetic shock thing, kind of like an EMP, that pulsated and reanimated the dead. And that's pretty much what the story was to begin with, in order to take over the world. And that's pretty much what this is too.
Yeah, but in this one they have more than one shock, and they have tons more zombies in it than in the first
And
one.
gratuitous nudity for no reason.
Yes,
But
which I'm sure you
I
guys
happen
enjoy.
to like gratuitous nudity for no reason.
Oh, that scene was really
Well,
the one I said was morbidly hilarious. Not only the nudity scene itself, but also what directly preceded it.
well,
Really,
and the director also inserted himself as a character in the film as well. So,
oh really?
yep, he played Officer Kelton, Kelsey.
Kelton.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kelton. Yeah,
oh, that was
that was
him.
John Johnson.
Oh,
And
interesting.
unfortunately, we're not seeing any entertainment coming from Darkstone Entertainment at the moment, because he has what Michael J. Fox has. He has Parkinson's disease. So I'm sorry to say
Oh,
that,
damn.
but I'm pretty sure that he's in the late stages of it, and I haven't heard hide nor hair from his Facebook page nor his Darkstone Entertainment thing for a while, so I'm a little concerned. But
Oh,
other than that, he played that officer that ended up kind of being one of the main characters. Um, so um, that being said, I was entertained by the film. I realized that there was a lot more zombies, which I think for the filming, I think one of the big things that hinged on the original film was the fact that Bela Lugosi played in the original film. And I do believe that old man who played the vampire-looking dude did his best to fill that role, but it was still not the same as seeing Vampira. Just I mean, Vampira, the one that looked like Vampira, sort of looked like Vampira. Um,
But yeah, in this movie, if I remember correctly, her character was not as prominent as the original, which I will admit is a bit of a downside to this one.
Well, the Dracula character wasn't as prominent either.
no,
Yeah,
he was not.
yeah.
It became more of a uh, dead taking over the world kind of thing instead of just the three. They see Edward Jr. didn't have the budget to involve other people. He just had the three, um, and that was it. And what he captured of the three, he used like over and over. And you could tell that he didn't have much of any of the characters because you could tell he reused film over and over. This one, not so much. You definitely had more characters in the town. You had more gore. At least they were practical effects, but as far as the gore was, but the EMP stuff that was going on and the fires in the building, those were CGI. You could tell that those were CGI. So, um, that being said, let's get into the movie. Of course, as the original did, it begins with a funeral. Um, a funeral of a grandmother, um, which I don't know about you, but the grandmother has always been younger than the grandfather. Yeah, Um,
Well, mostly, yeah. I guess because in that generation it was uncommon for younger men to get married to women older than them.
well, regardless, um, the grandmother that died kind of somewhat looks like the Vampira character from the original. But we don't get to see that until she actually like rises from the grave. But the funeral happens, and that is, I think that's one of the changes because um, the person whose I think a person whose grandfather died, was that a female's in the beginning, in the first one? I'm trying to remember.
Good question. I don't remember either.
I thought it was a man's grandfather or maybe it was okay. Yeah, I do think it was a female male, but the female was not anything of a scientist in the original. This one is. And
Yeah.
she ends up going back to work, and I guess there's something that she's working on with a friend of hers that could get her fired, and her other person that she's working on fired, and it's because of this technology that we find out later is why the aliens have come down, and I guess they've come for her. Um, at least that's what she finds out eventually through her boss. But um, we have her going back to work, and going because she'd rather work than think about her grandmother passing and whatnot. And while she's talking with her friend with the project that she's been working on, there's another thing that's beginning to happen. There's a couple of pilots that are in the sky. Um, well, actually, did anyone have anything to say about the whole funeral and the blonde with her boss and anything like that? What did you think about the scientist girl, Tammy? What did you think about her as a character?
Kind of flighty. I mean, she talks. All she talks is she talks all scientific jargon and stuff, and but the way she talks about it, she seems kind of flighty. The way I mean, I she's saying the smart stuff, but the way she says it is just kind of okay, you know. So
Okay, kind of like talking down to people, or like she's too smart for her own good, or
well, you could tell she's smart. It's just the way she says the stuff is just kind of like
you should know the stuff that I'm talking about while I'm talking about it to you, kind of thing.
in a way, but she's it almost she's. I don't want to say she says it weirdly, but just kind of I don't know. I mean, if she was talking to me, I'd be looking at her like, all right, fine,
Kind of
okay,
like how people make fun of William Shatner and the how slow he talks.
maybe. I don't know how to really explain it. It's kind of like how she presents the stuff is kind of just like, okay, whatever, okay, bye, you know.
Well,
Okay,
that was probably the impression you were intended to get of her. I mean, the stuff she says is probably pseudoscience anyway. I doubt that those things she said are actual scientific facts in this world. So it was probably just meant to portray her being some sort of
super nerd,
scientific. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
super nerdy, and no time for flirtatiousness.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
time to be
like
the
when she goes,
typical
well,
blonde.
I think we should go. Yep, I think we should go now. Well, we did this. We did this. We did this. Yeah, I think it's time to run now. You know. She made comments. She said things like that. She analyzed like everything, and then oh yeah, okay, that it's just like really, just
Instead of,
run, okay.
well, I know that they did that kind of thing back in the 50s, where sometimes they would talk about running before they ran, or state the obvious. You know,
Right. She does a lot of state the obvious, but does her state the obvious in like trying to say it in a scientific way. You know,
uh,
instead of
yeah.
saying it's time to run now, she'd say it like,
let's
well,
get the
yeah, I
fuck
think
out of here.
you know, yeah, it's just yeah, whatever.
I don't know about you, but I'm leaving.
And one interesting thing about her, she is named Lucy, just like my cat.
Ah, I thought it was interesting that her name was Lucy in a zombie movie because if you think about it, there is a dude dressed up like a vampire, um, and Lucy it was the name of like in Dracula, you know.
Oh, I forgot that.
But this is not a vampire movie.
I know it's not a vampire movie, and this is definitely more of a Dead Rising kind of movie. Definitely not more about the original characters. He definitely wanted to make sure that it was a zombie apocalypse in that town. But that being said, Brian Krause, which where do you know Brian Krause from, Tammy?
Wasn't he in Charmed?
Yes,
Phew.
he was in Charmed. So
And he's been in other movies too, but I
he's
basically
probably been in a lot of Lifetime movies, hasn't he?
I think so. I think I basically became aware of him though in Charmed.
Okay, so Charmed star Brian Krause is in here as the pilot who evidently sees a meteor. And honestly, one of the things that I saw that was a little bit different was there was much more of a military presence in the first one than there was here. This time it was just dealing with the local sheriff's office, and they were and all they were like was okay, track down the story and see if it made a landing. If not, go about your daily business. Instead of okay, let's call the feds, and the feds tell you to shut the fuck up about it. You know, so to me that was definitely present where okay, the military presence is a little bit more evasive.
The military acted like when they came on the scene, they acted like they've done this before. They made comments about that they had. Okay, this is our special team. We've been there. You know, you guys know the routine. Da 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 da. So it made it sound like they had done this before.
Well, and Conrad Brooks, who plays like this, like evident like gangster in with a couple of thugs in there. He's in there with a little girl, and they're both saying, you know, nothing will happen, nothing will happen, and yet the rest of them were picked off like flies, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess the pilot goes back to his airport company, and the airport people kind of act his co-pilot and the guy there at the office. They seem like a couple of perverted dudes. Because they're talking about how the one passenger wet herself, and the one guy goes up and makes a pass, and she slaps him, and all that jazz. So to me, those guys are always are already scoring some Girl Scout cookie points, eh?
Yeah.
So, but them two are supposedly going to go knock it off somewhere, have some drinks, and he's a straight arrow. He goes home to his wife, and his wife is happy to see him, very happy to see him. In fact, they have some elusive sex. You get to see some side boob action with her. And then, of course, she gets up to make some breakfast. I think he gets up and goes somewhere to talk about the meteor to someone, I think.
He went down to the store to go get something to go along with breakfast.
Okay, yeah, and that's when um that's about when you see the um looks like the spaceship actually landed at the Nilbog High School, which we find out that oh yes, that's right. So um the police actually are sent to go investigate it. They show up at the pilot's house, I think, and they ask him about it, and he actually kind of jokes about it. Brian Krause's character, he's actually kind of like standoffish against them too because they don't believe him.
That was still at the airport.
Okay, that was at the
Ooh.
airport.
Yes.
Okay, so they come to the airport. They talk to all of them about the meteor, and he's like, what did it look like? A meteor? I mean, so there was no actual landing? I don't know. So he's supposed to be a pilot, and he doesn't know any description of this fucking thing. So that's one thing. I would have expected more from a pilot. You know what I mean? Someone who's supposedly been experienced enough to explain a little bit more about what's going on, and all he can think of is, oh, okay, it looks like a meteor. Can't you explain like what lights, what exactly happened?
Well, it seemed obvious that him and the one cop didn't get along. So, the way I took it is him and the one cop didn't get along at all, and he wasn't going to say much of anything because he figured he wasn't going to listen to him and pay attention. So he basically just said, "Yep, it was there. There was a light. It looks like it went that way, and da da da." And that was it because he figured he wasn't going to listen to him and believe him anyway. So what's the point of dwelling on it? So
Yep. So, but like I said, at that time, I think that's um, when you had saw that it landed like inside the school, and it looked like uh, there were a couple of people that uh, were created from this like black, slimy, gooish looking stuff. And that was the first thing. And then I guess right after those things formed, and you saw a little bit of gratuitous nudity while the transformation was happening. You then saw the first EMP pulsate, and I think that's what. Oh, also, I guess it was Halloween night, and there is a disc jockey playing music throughout the night, and he gives updates of the various things that are going on, with giving you a little bit of a ditty, which is what he called the songs. So a lot of the songs sounded 1950s ish. In fact, there were a couple of songs that were sung by John Tierston, who was the one of the main actors in Sleepaway Camp,
Oh,
which I guess he does "Love Is Strange" and another one, but I can't seem to find the darn song on YouTube for me to actually have it in my collection. So
what's the song called? I can try to find
there's
it.
well, I'm sure I'll say it at the end uh, again, but "Love Is Strange" is one of them, and I'm pretty sure he sings another one. but I can't
Let's see.
find either one of those on John Tierston's YouTube stuff. So,
Song hunting is kind of my specialty, if you remember some of my anecdotes
well,
about
if you
that.
could find a copy of Love Is Strange by John Tierston, that would be awesome. But
Oh, okay,
it's
let's see.
but in any case, um, but yeah, I guess his name was Big Boss Mike, the disc jockey, and
Oh, fuck.
also because it is Halloween, the grandfather takes and dons a vampire costume, and then he scares some kids, and then he goes and hangs himself. So
Oh, yeah,
now,
what the
when
hell
the
was that
EMP
about?
happens, when the EMP thing happens, it reanimates both Grandma and Grandpa, which I think they did. I think the reanimation of Grandma happened in the first wave, and I think the second wave is when the grandfather was actually reanimated, because there were, I swear, there were 3 EMP pulses that went throughout the whole entire
Right.
town.
She didn't. She became a scientist. Became aware of it after the first one, and but she got it wrong. The cops showed up and were talking. The one cop showed up and was talking to her, and she got it wrong. It was the opposite way. She said that there was a second one that was coming, and there was only, and she's going, there's a second one coming, and only about this amount of time, and it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that, but she had it backwards.
Well, yeah, she thought
She thought it was gonna
that it was
kill
going to
people.
cause heart attacks of the living.
Right. And it wasn't until it came through and everything that she realized it was the opposite. That it revived people. It didn't kill people, it revived people. And then she was realizing that the first wave revived people that had only been dead like a couple weeks. The second one revived people that had been dead up to a month. Or, she said it was a timeline as the, how which ones were, not all people were revived. If they died from this time to this time, they were revived. Not people that were dead for years. It was only more
Recent.
recently. Yes. And then then she said that the third one, and she said the third one will still be within our county, you know, but it will go our well, within our town or whatever. It'll still be within our perimeter, but then after that, because she said every time a wave hits, it goes out twice as far as. So I remember her babbling all that.
Yeah. So, um, so now the grandpa and grandma are now out there amongst the uh, reanimators. There is a graveyard dude, one, not two, like the original, that gets whacked or gets bitten or whatever. Um, and there's also a detective, which is like the original. There was a detective looking dude, and they made him look out to be the like that tour dude that was the wrestler from the original. Um, so he looked like that particular animated corpse. I do give them credit for making that guy look exactly like that dude.
True. By the way, sorry to interrupt, but when you have a chance, check our group conversation on Messenger. I sent you a song I think might be the one you're looking for.
Okay, will do. I'll probably check it out after we get done here. But
Sounds like a hoot.
um, so we do have a beginning zombie attack in the town of Nilbog. And I believe that they attack some of the people going into the station, and some of them run out, some of them run back in, and Criswell, well, he's kind of an asshole in here.
Why is he an asshole?
Well, because when they run out to help someone outside, because you know, some of them actually give a shit about other human beings.
Ah,
Um,
that.
they run
Ah,
back to the
yeah.
door, and he's like closed the door and locked it on him.
But plus, he was an asshole at the very beginning that he was on some film set and he totally went off on the director on this film set that he was on. And it was like, if I would have been that director and had him, I would have told him, "There's the damn door. I'll find somebody else."
Well,
He was a total asshole at the very beginning.
well, truth be told, at that very beginning, I actually liked him because I generally like people who defy figures of authority and who are disobedient and rebellious.
I think he was way out of line to that director because the director was just trying to let him know how he wanted it done. And if you don't want to do what the director says, you don't get in his face. You do what he says or get lost.
It sounds very similar to what Chevy Chase was like to Dan Aykroyd during Nothing But Trouble. Or the filming of it, which is why Chevy Chase has kind of become known as a prima donna. When actors act like they are totally like just fucking either bitches or they look down on you and treat you like shit. That's what Criswell seemed to be like.
Well, okay, maybe, but from what I gathered, it sounded like that director had really made him do that talk over and over again and was never satisfied with it unless I misunderstood something.
There was still no reason to get that irate over. If a director doesn't like a certain line, he is the director and he is your boss. And no matter what, you listen to him. At the end of the day, and technically, we don't know what the whole situation was like before it started filming on him. So.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. Generally spoken, I like people who are not afraid to talk back to bosses or I don't know anyone who is acting superior to them.
I understand your point. At least he had the balls to say something, but to ridicule him over and over for that he is the director of the darn thing. Dude, there's the door. Next, please. So, but I guess at the end of the day, he ended up like rallying in as being someone who actually, ended up being okay at the end, but it took a long time for that character to be likable. For me. But
I see.
But we do have some characters here. We have the. It looks like there's two brothers. One of the corny perverted co-pilots of his that was there because I guess they ended up at the same gas station instead of being at a bar somewhere, and that co-pilot was saying, "Oh, he's just taking a break from round one." When he walked in or whatnot, and I think the one more perverted friend ended up getting bitten. And let's see. I do believe that okay. Some of the dead did some things that I know is if you know zombie lore, zombies would not be able to do that kind of thing.
What is it?
Which is pick up a ramming rod and start ramming a door. They're dead. Why the fuck would their brains make them think enough to actually ram a door?
She said that the second round were smarter than the first round.
Oh yeah, they did say that.
Okay. So the second, I guess they're able to do things that. And another thing is that on regular zombies, you're supposed to be able to shoot them in the brain and they're dead.
That's another thing. Said that these were being controlled by other beings, and she emphasized other beings, and they're not being controlled through their mind; they're being controlled through their heart. Because their heart is what's making them mobile and what's making them move.
Yeah, that's a part of the lore of this particular story.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying in other zombie movies, it's one shot to the brain, and that's what counts. But in here, you got to shoot them in the heart, and then they'll die. But we have a little bit of a moment here in the pandemonium that's going on in the gas station, where I guess there's a mother-daughter duo.
Yeah, that's the part I said earlier. I found morbidly hilarious for various reasons.
Well, apparently when they planned to pick up weapons and fight back and get out of there, Brian Krause's character didn't really have a plan for the little girl. He just said, I don't know, just hide her somewhere. Instead of hiding her somewhere, she gave her some pills and killed her. And then she stripped off all of her clothing and then slowly walked out and became zombie food. So
wasn't that quite a what the fuck moment?
It was kind of a what the fuck moment, because why would you do that when you could have like been saved or something like that? You could have saved your daughter and whatnot. It was entirely possible, but evidently she just didn't want to deal with the fucking shit and thought that doing all that was going to save her in some retrospect.
And also, did you notice that
that was technically a true gratuitous nudity moment? Like, why did she have to get naked just to go out
there? Maybe she just went insane. But another morbidly funny thing, did anyone notice about that little girl who got poisoned, that they never even gave any name for that girl aside from a nickname? They were calling her Squirt.
I didn't notice that.
When I heard that, I was like, geez, you could have as well called her a Squirter.
Well, maybe not giving her a name made you less care about her or anything like that. But
yeah, yeah, I guess that's another reason why I found that whole subplot morbidly hilarious, especially because it also didn't really contribute to the plot very much. It was just a what the fuck moment, and that was it.
not really, and wasn't sure, you know, whether that scene was necessarily needed, but I also didn't mind seeing her naked for a moment, I guess. But you know, it was it was a uh, weird happening. So
Yeah, the whole scene and the whole thing revolving around that mother and daughter was very weird. And like I said, to
I
me
don't know
personally,
what do you think about that moment, Tammy? Did you think that we really necessarily needed that moment, or
No.
thought so.
but in any case, at the same time, I guess this is when we have another parallel uh, situation happening where I do believe that because the scientist has figured out like what's happening, it gets back to the local sheriff um, that she knows what's up, and so in order to avoid all the phone calls that are happening, even though they can't like necessarily send out anyone to any of these phone calls that are happening in town. Um, they decide to all group together at the wherever the scientist is, and uh, along the way they pick up Brian Krause his character's wife, which apparently she was left at home next to a cemetery. Um, and that's when grandma and grandpa like come through various doors and windows, and they attempt to I guess they attempt to uh, bite her, but she ends up like running from the place, um, and she gets picked up by that group of deputies, and somehow they end up um, I don't think they entirely all end up together until like the very end when they're in that parking garage structure.
Ah, true. Yeah.
But they are able to communicate, and while the pilot is still at the gas station, and she basically tells them that you know they're going after the hive, which they basically have found out where they have landed, because that's when Kelton, Officer Kelton, he ends up saying, well, you know, they never said that they had landed anywhere. um, and she's like, well, of course they landed, and I do believe that that's where it is. And if we go take care of the hive and blowing it up and whatever, it might take care of the rest of them, you know. So they are all on their way to this school, um, which kind of looks like an underground parking garage once you look at it. And they realize that there are a ton of these same looking alien creatures, that apparently, and I do believe the scientist runs into her boss, which her boss basically tells her, "Hey, He's dying, laying on the floor, and he's like, "You should get out of here. They came for you because of what you were creating." And even when she was somewhat caught for a little bit, the alien was actually talking to her. They're like, you humans are stupid, and the reason why we came for you is because your brains can't handle the information that you and the technology that you are creating, at least not yet.
Oh,
So we're going to take you home and we're going to interrogate you there.
that was actually a good twist on Lucy's character. And yeah, it was also something they took from the original, although in the original they elaborated on it in more detail, the whole Solaronite thing, or however they pronounced it. And here they provided a more condensed version of it, since apparently they wanted to focus more on the survival horror aspect of the story.
And as we said earlier, there was a military team that was sent in to take care of the situation. Their mission was to make sure that this zombie epidemic or whatever the fuck was going on did not leave that town. So nobody was going in and nobody was coming out. And that meant killing off everybody, whether they were zombie or human. Some of the military that were on the team did not agree with that.
Oh, yeah, that was a good part. I loved when he just shot that colonel or whoever was that asshole giving him orders, when he just shot him to death.
Yeah, and one of them actually looked like he was like kind of like a muscled looking dude. He and then of course when he was turned, he was acting all crazy. And he kept talking to the dead alien like it was speaking to him. But I think his humanity kind of kicked in when he went into that vat of goo, because he ultimately destroyed whatever was in there. At the end of the day. So
Huh.
in a sense, it's like almost he sacrificed himself in that goo.
Huh,
But
true.
um, I guess the rest of them, well, Kelton, Officer Kelton, he ended up picking up one of the laser guns of the aliens and started shooting a bunch of people. And of course, there was a moment where he was just watching, and he was like, "Dude, you have a laser gun." He's like, "I have a laser gun." "Oh, I have a laser gun."
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of sad that they ran into some other people, and they were all saying that they would be able to get over that bridge. Well, you saw all them were human. They weren't zombies, and that military faction that was on that bridge just shot them down. Um,
Spudao.
of course,
Okay, a bad Spudao, but still Spudao.
of course, they ultimately, at the end of everything, think that they have um, completely killed off the alien presence. They overhear from Big Boss Man Mike, or whatever his name is that there's a military presence that had surrounded the town of Nilbog is actually heading over to what was it, Minnesota?
Montana.
Montana. Evidently, there is another alien invasion that was going to happen in Montana. Um, and so the group got into a vehicle, and they were like, lock and load. Let's go take care of this in that other town. Um, for the most part, I think we are at the end of the film. I do believe, unless there is anything else that either one of you can. Uh, did I miss anything?
Hmm, possibly, but nothing that I can specifically think of.
Well, yeah. Oh, that one guy's brother. That was a stupid move. He went into one of those construction vehicles and was like, "They won't get me in this thing."
Oh, oh yes, pull down.
And then while they're running, I think brother ends up just and ends up tripping, and they lose him. So
His name was Justin, but in my opinion, they should have named him Dustin because he was dust.
but in any case, um, Tammy, was there anything else that you think that I missed, or anything worth mentioning?
No, not at this time.
Alrighty. So I think we are now at the production. So as the production stands, what did you think about it, Tammy? I'll get your impression first.
Well, I don't know.
Them
I
is
guess it.
going to roast it.
I guess it was okay. I mean, like I said at the beginning, I thought there was a lot of overacting. There wasn't a whole lot for scenery. There wasn't a whole lot. Really, wasn't a whole lot for effects. I mean, nothing spectacular. Okay, a zombie knocks somebody down and starts eating them. Okay, like we haven't seen that before. You know, there
Well,
was
I actually thought that the zombies ripping out certain leg bones and ripping out certain spinal cords. I thought those effects were kind of interesting. I thought the way that some of them were dragged under trees or dragged from certain areas, I thought that was cool.
I guess it was kind of interesting. Yeah, that's if you really like zombie movies. But
Well, yeah, you don't even have to like zombie movies to realize that certain effects are different and to be able to achieve that kind of special effect in an independent movie and make it look real.
I guess
As far as the goo, it, it, oh well. What about you, Boris? What did you uh, think about the production?
For an independent movie, I think it was fairly good. Like I said, I have seen independent movies that were way worse in terms of special effects and things like that. So yeah, of course you can still see it's independent. Like in these Black Goose scenes, you can see they were using something like. Nylon or something, not sure, but still,
Well, the
they.
green stuff that was coming off of their chins, it kind of looked like Gerber's baby food that was just kind of liquidized.
Well, maybe, but yeah, for an independent movie, I think it was quite good. Uh,
I'm gonna
if
say
it
the
was,
same. I'm gonna say the same because I've seen a lot of John Johnson's other films, and this was definitely more grotesque than some of his other films per se. And the makeup on the zombies was actually pretty fucking good. I think the best makeup on any of the characters was the one that was supposed to be like the Tor Johnson lookalike. I thought that the white eyes, that was something that was in the original. I thought they got that down. And to be able to get some of these YouTuber presences in the film, that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
And the horror host being Criswell, Mr. Lobo. I didn't know who Mr. Lobo was before looking it up on IMDb or whatnot. I actually did not know that he was a horror host or anything like that, but I guess that's something.
Indeed.
But and I guess to be able to get Brian Krause in on it, that's I guess something. So to be able to have that kind of pull to get people to star in your movie, especially in one that's that was so. Oh, well, it bombed originally when it first came out, but it's well loved now. It is and has become a cult classic to some people. And the original film was originally like one of the worst of the worst. So at least it made it on like the worst of the worst documentary, if I remember correctly. So to me, this could also become a cult classic, like within 20 years.
Possibly.
But on that note, I did want to say something about the music. Let me pull up the soundtrack here because it only mentions a few. Let me see if I can go back.
Yeah, that I think there are actually more songs in the movie than you can read on IMDb. You can probably get the complete list in the ending credits.
Quite possibly, but Love is Strange and City of Angels are performed by Jonathan Tiersten, which Jonathan Tiersten, he was one of the original cast members of Sleepaway Camp. And I guess he has a band.
Oh.
He has a band that he sings with. And I know him and his band has actually done a cover of Helter Skelter. So,
a cover of what?
A cover of Helter Skelter, which was by the Beatles.
Oh, okay, I'm not finding that one, but are you interested in this song, City of Angels?
I am.
Oh, good. Okay, let's see if I can get that one. View song. Okay, let's see.
Well, I am opening up.
Yes.
I am opening up. So this is supposedly John Kirsten's.
Uh, well, that's what it says on this one page where I found it, but I thought you would recognize it. Is that the song you were looking for?
Yeah, I think that that is it. At least as far as that one goes.
Nice. I will send you City of Angels now.
Cool. What did you think about the music, Tammy? That you heard? I thought that we heard definitely an interesting arrangement of the um, songs of the 1950s or 60s. Did you notice any of them?
Yeah, some of the arrangements were interesting. Oh,
Well, I thought it was kind of cool
but
that he got a couple of actual singers to sing some of them. Some of them, I think, were just um, out there for the public for you to actually like play. But do you think you can find Little Misunderstood too, Boris?
Who little misunderstood? Is that also Jonathan Tiersten?
No, that was performed by Ivana Raimonda van der Veen.
Okay, let's
You'll see it
see.
under the soundtrack list.
Yeah, I see it. I will look it up now.
Okay.
By the way,
Well, in any case, let's go into favorite characters and or favorite scenes. Let's
oh
start with you,
yes,
Tammy.
got this
If
baby.
there was a favorite or a favorite scene, what would it be in this movie? Tammy,
what? Oh, me first.
favorite character and or favorite scene.
Um. Well, I've seen Brian Krause and other things before, so I guess he's my favorite character. Um. I don't know if I really had a favorite scene. Maybe the end where the whole thing blows up.
Okay.
That'd probably be about it. So
Alrighty. What about you, Boris?
Oh, truth be told, it's kind of difficult to choose a favorite character since there were so many and not many of them were really fleshed out very well. So I don't know. I guess I'd have to go with Jeff and Paula. I kind of liked their little story getting a happy ending. Uh, I did also sorry for disagreeing with you, Dave, but I did also kind of like Criswell, not the part where he was being selfish when it came to helping other people, but I did like him talking back to that director. That was really funny. But otherwise, one of my favorite scenes would probably be, and I'm not saying it's a good thing that happened there, but it was really morbidly hilarious to me, that part with the mother and daughter, the whole thing, like when she poisoned the girl, it was a big what the fuck moment. Then that guy slapping her in the face, and then her getting naked and exposing herself to the zombies. It was really such a what the fuck moment that it was so bad. It was good, and I really had some good laughter with that scene. So maybe I'd go with that one.
Okay. Um, and my favorite character would probably also be, um, I think it would also be Jeff. Um, more or less because he seemed to be the moral centerpiece of it all. I also didn't
Oh,
mind Kelton.
oh yeah, I forgot to mention I also liked Lucy as a
Lucy.
character. The
Eh,
scientist girl.
she was okay. I mean, she wasn't something to be wow about. Um, I mean, I guess she definitely played the nerdy part well. But if she had been a romantic interest of anyone, maybe that might have played into something and made me care about her character a little bit more. But she seemed to be more badass at the end with Kelton or whatnot. She seemed to be like the leader um, of the group that was going to go on to Montana and kick some ass or whatever. But as far as favorite scenes go, I don't know why, but I do like the moment where the wife is speaking to the pillow
Oh, yes, yes. That was also a good moment.
because she was trying to work up the conversation to tell her husband, "Hey, quit your job and come home to me," kind of thing,
Yes.
because of all the long hours or whatnot. Um, I also didn't mind their lovemaking scene. I thought it was actually kind of sexy. So, um, I mean, other than that, oh, I guess I did kind of. I. It's not that I liked the idea that the woman killed her child and just made herself dinner. Uh, in the light of things, I don't think that really was a smart thing to do. That was like the stupidest thing out of the whole entire movie. Like, why would you do that? Like, is that what humanity has
Yeah.
come to? You know,
Uh,
just give up.
yeah. It definitely. Yes. Sorry for interrupting you. What were you going to say about it?
Oh, just the fact that she was all that was a very stupid thing. Even though I didn't mind the nudity, it still wasn't entirely needed. And I guess at the time, nudity was in. So, and I think when it comes down to it, I guess there's a mixed view of what should be in movies and, or not. A lot of people don't like unnecessary nudity, and some people do. I am I am I'm on the one hand where okay, nudity is a necessity in horror movies to me. If I don't see nudity, then what the fuck am I watching for? I mean, in a slasher, especially if there's not someone like uh, having like cowboy sex and then get their throat slit and you see the boobs bouncing, you know, it's if it doesn't show up in a movie, it's not very good to me. There's definitely got to be at least blood, and I guess I'm okay with dismemberment as long as it goes to that strong, um, sense of you know. There are some people who think that less is more, and Tammy, are you one of those people that think that sometimes less is more?
I don't care if there's nudity or not.
Okay. But would you rather see someone getting killed or actually not see it, like hear it happening off in a distant room, like in the next room or something?
It depends on the movies. Some movies are very good done that way where you use your imagination, and some are better that you actually see it. Okay? So some of the slasher movies that are out there would not be the slasher movies they are if you didn't see it. You know? Where like Psycho, it was Psycho would it was done. You didn't see it, but you used your imagination. You know
Well,
that worked
Psycho
for
was
that.
a good one.
So
Psycho
some
was a good one where camera techniques, camera techniques worked more for that. You know?
Cool.
right. That's what I'm saying.
Uh,
Sometimes it depends on the movie. You know. Okay.
I'm okay with like maybe one gratuitous nudity scene and gratuitous means that there's nudity that shows up in the film and there's no reason for it. There's absolutely no reason for some nudity in some films, like and some of them have a continuous necessity for them. But in any case, moving on.
Most gratuitous scenes like you're talking about are showing the women and not the men, so I could actually care less. Maybe if they
There was
had more
something.
scenes like you're talking about and they show the men, it would make a difference. But
Yeah, maybe that's right.
I don't
it
know,
doesn't do
man.
any.
Sometimes they don't even.
It doesn't do anything for me to see a chick's boobs. Okay, it really doesn't.
But in any case, at the end of everything, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Truth be told, you didn't ask me what I thought about the music aside from extracting obscure music for you as if I was some crazy
Oh,
hacker.
well, that's why I asked these questions. So, what did you think about the music? And did you have a favorite, or did I already ask you about the favorite scene and favorite character?
You did ask me about favorite scene and favorite character, and I did also like the music. I like that there are particular songs in the movie that you can actually notice by the lyrics. My favorite one was probably this one called Crazy Eyes for You, if I remember correctly, the title. Yeah, one by Bobby Hamilton. I think that one is not listed on IMDb. I got it from the ending credits. Oh, so yeah, I
Okay,
may
so it does
go.
list all the songs in the end credits, eh?
Yes, yes. I may go hunting for that one too.
You might as well hunt the rest of them.
Maybe. Do you remember that story of how I was hunting for the ending credits song of the another independent movie called Succubus Hellbent?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, it's almost the second anniversary of me finding that song.
Oh, you're keeping count?
Yeah, that's on that day I spoke to many people about it, so yeah, I did end up memorizing the date.
Cool. Alrighty.
Thanks.
Well, on that note, hopefully everybody out there has enjoyed our discussion on this remake of Plan 9. I thought it was bad. I know other people who were fans of the original were not really that much of a fan of this one, but I actually didn't think it was bad or as bad as people were making it out to be.
Oh
And
yeah.
now that I've showed it to my good friend Boris, he agrees with me. So at least I know there is truth out there somewhere in the world.
Well, yeah. And
So
truth be told, I'm kind
someone
of
else who likes it like I do.
yeah, and I'm kind of proud to becoming a huge fan of some movies that many other people dislike, like John Bowker's The Seekers, which you know is a movie that literally changed my life, and if it wasn't for that movie, I wouldn't be here with you. Then
Well, no,
Succubus Hell.
but I hope that I've brought you to watching a lot of movies that you haven't, and at least have a
Definitely.
little bit more of appreciation. Part of my reason going on and discussing movies with you is not that I wanted you to stop loving The Seekers or anything like that. Know that there's other movies that can be just as good or just as entertaining.
True. Then also, like I said, Succubus Hellbent, another movie that people seem to hate a lot, but that I really enjoyed. Okay, maybe I'm somewhat biased towards it because I have this special history with its ending credit song, but I did also really enjoy the movie the very first time I saw it, and I saw it a few times afterwards. And also Simon Verhoeven's Friend Request, another huge favorite of mine that many other people shit talk. So yeah, I am the guy who often likes movies that people hate, but I don't mind.
Well, there are quite a few movies that I know that Tammy hates that I like, so like Bunny the Killer Thing. But in any case, at the end of the day,
Pussy.
hopefully you ladies and gentlemen out there have enjoyed our discussion on this film. Whether you have seen the movie, go out and see it. It's not that bad, um, at least to me. Um, I like over the top acting. I don't mind seeing how over the top acting is better than wooden acting, where people just sleep through their lines and don't have any oomph in their lines and dialogues. Where they could just be asleep while they're talking sometimes. If everyone sounded like Ben Stein and his dry eye commercials. I don't know if you've ever seen Ben Stein in a dry eye commercial, but he is very.
Oh, I probably haven't.
Or have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Uh, if you haven't, I think he's one of his teachers. Uh, let's see, he did in The Mask. Jim Carrey's The Mask. He was the guy he went to talk to about masks. In Casper, he was the guy who was. Um, I think he was the lawyer explaining everything to Miss Kerrigan, and he was like, "Knock yourself out." Huh?
I'm sorry, I
I don't
had
know.
a
I don't know
glitch.
if you heard me, or I don't know why, but it conked out for a moment.
Yeah, can you please repeat what you said?
Oh, he played the guy that Jim Carrey went to in The Mask, talking about masks. Um, he played the guy who in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think he was a
Well,
teacher.
if you guys want to keep talking about other movies and stuff, you guys can. But we need to wrap this up. I need to get going for work.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
alrighty.
I mean, if you guys want to keep talking about other movies and you'll get off of the thing and continue talking, fine.
Okay, well, in any case, like, share, and subscribe. Watch the movie. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the um, film, what you thought of our discussion, and we'll see you next time. Um, is it your turn again, Boris? I do believe it is.
Oh, yeah, it is my turn. However, unfortunately, next week I'm not going to be able to participate. We are going to have to postpone it for the next week because this upcoming weekend is my first education module at this therapy school that I enrolled in, so I will be out of town for the weekend. Actually, for several days, but yeah, I won't be home on Sunday, so unfortunately, I think we will have to take take a break. But next week, next Sunday, yeah, it will be my turn, and I'm thinking we could do Hideo Nakata's Ringu too.
Oh, the second Ringo.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Then I guess we'll see each other back in like 2 weeks.
Okay, so we're going to take a break next week. Okay.
Yes,
Yep,
and I'm
I guess
really
so.
sorry for having to do that, but it's really out of my control.
That's fine.
Not a problem. But
Thank
in any
you.
case, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. We're on YouTube in 2 weeks. So we'll see you then, folks. Everyone say good night.
Oh yeah. Good night, everyone.
Good night.